No, but I think it was...
Okay, good evening, everyone, and a good davach. Nice to have everybody here, almost everybody. We are continuing on the bottom line of Daf Yud Zayin Amud Beis on our Motzei Shabbos marathon, as we are 22 strong plus 2, Reb Nechemia Eimer, the Mishnah continues that the number in the town has to be 230 and not 120. Tanya, Rebbe Eimer, Masayim v'shivim v'shiva. It has to be 277. Now, Nechemia says it has to be 230 because of the fact that it should be that each one should be at least a sorei alofim, so an officer of 10. So if there's 23, there has to be at least 230. Now, why does he add another 47? So the answer is because if the court is deadlocked, you have to be able to keep on adding 2 until you get to 70. So from 23 to 70 is 47. If you hold like the Rabbanan that it's 71, then it would be 78. Says the Gemara, Tanya Rebbe Aimer Masayim Shivim Ushmaina, 278. Says the Gemara, like Kasha Rebbe Yehuda Rabbanan. Question is, if you have to keep on adding 2 judges until 70, so that would be 47, and 230 plus 47 would be 77. If it's 71, it would be 48, and then it would be 278. Tan Rabbanan, v'samta aleim sori alofim, you should place on them officers of 1,000. This is the 600,000 Yidden in the Midbar, and we want to welcome Gedalia Engel, who came in perfect timing for the second daf, Gedalia, as we are 3 lines from the top of Yud Ches, Chaitzim Leben, and just because the handle of your chair is a little broken, Gedalia, doesn't mean that you shouldn't come down to share. We could fix it for you.
The handle is broken?
I thought I saw that the handle of your chair was a little broken.
Okay, I'll have to deal with it. All right. Thanks for bringing it to my attention.
Yeah, you should come right now.
I can't get a handyman at this hour.
You're good to go.
Anyway.
Get Rich Leonard to do it.
Anyway. Tan Rabbanan. V'samta aleim sari alofim, officers of 1,000, sari meis, officers of 100, sari chamishim, officers of 50, sari asaras, and officers of 10. Now, you get an idea of how many leaders there were in Klal Yisrael. We're a nation of leaders. So, first of all, Sori Alofim, how many officers of 1,000? So, if there was 600,000, so there's Sheish Meis, 600 officers of 1,000. Sori Meis, how many officers of 100? So, in 600,000, there's going to be 6,000 officers of 100. Sheishes Alofim. How many Sori Chamishin? Well, if there's 6,000 Sori Meis, so then there's going to be 12,000 Sori Chamishim. Shneim Asar Elef, 12,000 officers of 50. Sori Asaris, how many officers of 10? Shisha Ribuy, 60,000 officers of 10. It was an overlapping system. Nimtzu, it turns out, how many judges were there? Nimtzu Daine Yisrael, Shivas Ribuy, 70, Ushmainis Alofim, 78,000, V'sheish Meis, and 600. 78,600 people worthy to lead. Hadron Lachdine Mamanis, Hadron Lachdine Mamanis, Hadron Lachdine Mamanis. You know, I remember I was close to the Rav of Monticello for many years. I spoke there many years between Mincha and Marv. I went to help him out. And his name was a delightful fellow by the name of Rabbi Chanowitz. And he told me, he was a Lubavitcher, and he told me that everybody has their own mashpia. So even though he was a Rav for many years, he had a mashpia, and his Rebbitzin had a woman that was her mashpia, and all their children had a mashpia. So it's a little bit reminiscent of what the system in the Midbar, how everybody had a mashpia. It was really, really remarkable. And Barish was just telling me about how Rav Miller said that you can't see things on your own. You need somebody else to see them. This is the idea of no matter how great you are, having a mashpia.
That's good everyone.
Correct.
You're my mashpia.
Rabbi, just as an aside, there's a pasuk in Parshas Balak that says, "Hirdu isha nosha v'nitzparim l'baal pa'or." Moshe told the judges every judge should kill 2 people, at least 2 people. And there were, like we just said, there were 78,000 judges. That means close to 160,000 people were put to death by the judges, not including the 24,000 that died in the Megillah.
Right, which is a chilling thing. Chilling thing. Now, says the new Perek, which we just learned, by the way, in the Mishnah Yaimis, Kayin Gadol done v'done in Oisai. The Kayin Gadol could judge, and you could judge him. Me'id, he could testify, u'me'idin Oisai, and you could testify against him. Chaylitz, he could give chalitza if his brother died, he could give chalitza to his brother's wife. V'choltzin, and if he died, his brother could give chalitza to his wife. V'choltzin l'ishtay. Or meyabmin es ishtay. And his brother, in case the Kohen Gadol died, the brother could be miyabim his wife. Abel hu eina miyabim, but in the event that his brother died, he cannot be miyabim his brother's wife because she's a widow, and the Kohen Gadol can't marry a widow. Meis le meis, if the Kohen Gadol suffers a loss of one of his 7 close kin, eina yotzei achar mita, he cannot follow the coffin because we're afraid that he might come to touch it and become tamei. Elahei nichsin, when the coffin gets covered, it turns a corner. V'hu nigla, he could come out. Hey niglim, but once it's in view, hu nichsa, he has to go into hiding. The yotzei, and he could follow the entourage ad Pesach Shara until the door of the gate of the city. After that, he can't go because there's no more cover to cover the coffin. Divrei Meir. Rabbi Yehuda says no. Any yotzim in a mikdash, the Kohen Gadol doesn't leave the mikdash. Mishum shenemar min a mikdash lo yotzi. He doesn't leave the temple. Ukishu menachem acherim, when he goes to comfort others, we give him an honor guard, so to speak. Derech kol ha'am oivim b'zeach hazeh. The people pass single file in front of the mourners. Then the second row is the Kohen Gadol, and he's sandwiched by the people and by the Sgan, who is to his right, the deputy. So this way he has an honor on either side. V'amamuna mematzai, the mamuna, the deputy Kohen Gadol, sandwiches him beinoi lebein ha'am, between him and the rest of the people. So there's 3 rows. The people, then the Kohen Gadol, then the Sgan. Ukishu misnachei me'acherim, when he gets comforted by others, kol ha'am oimrim lei, everybody tells him, onu kaparascha, that we should be for your atonement. V'hu amar lahen, and he said to them, tisbaruchu min hashamayim, you should be blessed by heaven. Ukishemavrin oisai, when they give him the mourner's meal, we know that the first meal he can't eat from his own food. They give him bread and egg. Everybody sits on the ground. He sits on a low bench so that he shouldn't be dishonored. Everybody sits lower than him. Hamelech, the king, and we'll see in the Gemara, this refers to a king that's not of the Davidic dynasty. Loi done, he can't judge, v'loi done in Isai. We don't judge him. So since we don't judge him, he can't judge, because anybody that's not judged himself is not allowed to judge others. Loi meid, he can't testify because it's beneath his dignity to be interrogated. V'loi me'idin, saying, since he can't be judged, there's no purpose in testifying against him. Loi chayleitz, he does not give chalitza. That means that if his brother's wife dies, if his brother dies, he does not submit chalitza because it would be inappropriate for them to spit at him. Also, it would be inappropriate for him to have a child that takes his brother's name and he plays second fiddle to his brother. Nor do they give chalitza to his wife. The reason why is because you cannot be miyabim his wife, because nobody could marry the king's widow, and kol she'eina oila liyibam eina oila l'chalitza. And lo miyabim, he does not do yibam, because as we said, since he doesn't subject to chalitza, he doesn't subject to yibam. V'lo miyabim le'ishtayt, nor can they marry his wife, because you're not allowed to marry the almana of the king. Rabbi Yehuda imrotza lachloitz, if he wants to submit to chalitza, or liyabim, or to be miyabim his brother's wife, zochel atoif, he could be Michael his covenant, and may his memory be remembered for the good. Amrulai, they said to him, no, a king can't be Michael on his covenant, ain't shaymin lay. They ain't nice in almanusay. Like we said, you can't marry the king's widow. Rabbi Yehuda says there's an exception. Another king is allowed to marry the king's widows. Rabbi Yehuda Aimer noise amelech almanusay shel melech. Another king is allowed to marry the king's widow. Shekem matzina b'David. So we find by David, Shenasa almanusay shel Shaul. He married the widow of Shaul. Shenema ve'etnulach es beis adonecha. I will give you the palace of your Lord. Ve'es neshei adonecha, and the wives of your Lord v'cheikecha, to your bosom.
There's no chalitza. The king can't do chalitza. I mean, the brother can't do chalitza on the king's wife.
It says in loy chayleitz v'loy chaltzin leishta.
So there's no zika. She can marry somebody else.
Correct. Now, Kayin Gadol, the Kayin Gadol is done, can judge. So the Gemara says, Pshita, that's obvious. Why shouldn't the Kayin Gadol be able to judge? Done in Isayit Strichale, we could judge him. Says the Gemara, well, why not? Hanami Pshita. Because Eloi Daininolai, if he wouldn't be able to be judged, Iuechi Dain, how could he judge? First, adorn yourself and then adorn others. First, you have to take care of yourself and then take care of others. So obviously, if he judges, then he surely is able to be judged. You're right, says the Gemara. It's true. It's obvious that the Kohen Gadol could judge and be judged. And I say that the king can't be judged, can't judge and can't be judged. Tananami Kohen Gadol done v'done. The Iba Yisema, it's telling you another halacha. The Iba Yisema, as we welcome in Yeshua Shmuel Eisenberg from Florida, 3 lines into the wide lines on Daf Yud Ches Amud Aleph, as we a lot of learning tonight, a lot of work tonight. The Iba Yisema, Hakam Ashmalon Kiditanya, Kain Gadol Shehorag Es HaNefesh, a Kain Gadol that kills somebody, B'mezid Nerag, if he kills somebody willfully, he's executed. B'shoigeg Goyla, if he kills somebody B'shoigeg, he's exiled. V'oiver al aseh v'al lois aseh. And he transgresses positive commandments and negative commandments. We'll see what that teaches us shortly. V'arihu kehedyet l'chol devarav. So the Gemara says, well, b'meiz and nereg, if he kills somebody willfully, he's executed, pshita, that's pashut. We said that the Kohen Gadol is judged by the Bezdin of 71. Says the Gemara, b'shaygei gayle etzrichale. Chiddush is that if he kills somebody unwittingly, he's exiled. Now, the Gemara says, well, isn't that also obvious? Nami Pshita says, the Gemara, no, it's not obvious because he doesn't have a method to get out. Because the method to get out is when the Kohen Gadol dies. But since he's the Kohen Gadol at the time, so he'll never have a way to get out. Itzrich, so kedai tachamina, hoyel v'ksiv v'yoshev ba ad moisa Kohen Gadol. He sits there until the Kohen Gadol dies. Ema kol de islay takanta b'chazara. Whoever could go free, ligle. The less takanta b'chazara, he can never return because at the time of the execution he was the Kohen Gadol, and therefore if he dies, he's never getting out. So I might think loy ligle. I might think he's not exiled. The Tanan, as we learn this halacha, as we turn to Yud Ches Amud Beis, the Tanan hahoyrei Kohen Gadol. If somebody kills the Kohen Gadol, it's another person who's not going to be able to ever get out, because at the time there's no Kohen Gadol. Oy Kohen Gadol she'areg es nefesh, or the Kohen Gadol himself kills somebody. Eini yotzei misham la'olam. He never leaves. So since he never leaves, he has no way to exit. Eima loy liglei. I might think that maybe he's not exiled. Kamash malan. Says Gemara, Eima hochanami. Maybe he shouldn't be exiled. Amakra lanush shama kol roitzeach. To flee there, anybody who kills b'shaygeg, afilu Kohen Gadol b'mashma, even a Kohen Gadol. Now it says, over al aseh v'al lois aseh. So the Gemara says, that's a very strange language. He transgresses a positive command and a negative command. What? He has to transgress a positive and negative command? Lo yisagi de lo yaver? It's not enough that he doesn't transgress? Hachi kamer. Im over al aseh v'lo yaseh, lo yisaseh, if he's over a positive command or a negative command, harihu kehedyet l'chol dvar. We treat him in the normal fashion. That means if he, let's say, he muzzles his animal and lets it work, we give him malchus. If he doesn't want to fulfill the mitzvah saseh and he refuses, we makin him, we hit him until he does it. So the Gemara says, pshita, that's obvious. Says him, it's not obvious. So kedai techamina hoyulus nan ein donin loyas hashevet v'loyas nevi hasheker v'loyas Kohen Gadol el al pi bezdin shel shivim ve'echad. We only judge a false prophet, a tribe, or the Kohen Gadol with a bezdin of 71. I might think, all matters of the big person we bring elecha, dvar shel gadol, I might think, ema kol dvar shel gadol, that the aseh and the lois aseh is done by a bezdin of 71 and not by a bezdin of 3. Kamash malan, that it's not that way. I v'ema ochanami. Miksiv divrei gadol, does it say matters of the big person? Ha davar gadol ksiv. Only davar gadol mamish, only a capital case is brought to the bezdin of 71. Such a case, the bezdin of 3 is enough. Meyid u'me'idin aisay. The Kohen Gadol could testify, and we could testify against him. So now, it's not so simple. Testifying is not a dignified thing, because the person is open to be interrogated and questioned, and that's not dignified. And therefore asks the Gemara, Meyid, he could testify? But Tanya, v'isalamta, it says by Hashavas Aveda, v'isalamta, you could hide. And we darshan, pa'amim she'ata misalem. There are times that you could hide. Upa'amim she'ata misalem. Okay, so kayin v'hu bebeis hakvaros. If a kayin sees a lost article in a cemetery, he doesn't have to get it because he can't go into the cemetery because he can't become tameh. Or zakein ve'eno lefi kvaydei. Let's pick a very stolz person over here. Barry. Right? Barry finds a multicolored neon hula hoop, on 13th Avenue. It's not bakovadik for Barry to walk around with a hula hoop that says, "Look at me, I'm cool." Right? That's what happens, It's not bakovadik for Barry to walk around that way. So,
That's Barry's calling card.
right? Or Marshall makes more money in the shop, and it's not kedai for him to lose the shop, go out of the shop in order to pick up the hula hoop, right? There's times that you could hide from the article. Now, here too, it's not dignified for the Kohen Gadol to be in the witness box. Amar Rav Yosef Meyed Lamelech. He could testify for the king. Says the Gemara, but we say that the king is not judged. That we don't testify against the king. El Amar Rav Zera Meyed Leben Melech. He could testify against the prince. In other words, the son of the king. Says the Gemara, Ben Melech Hedyidu. There's no stature of the son of the king. The son of the king is a regular commoner, which is below the dignity of the Kohen Gadol to give testimony. Ella says the Gemara, Meyid Bifnei HaMelech. If the king is in the court, then he could come because he's testifying in front of the king. V'ein mo'yshivin melech b'Sanhedrin, but we don't place the king on a Sanhedrin. That we said that the king is not placed on the Sanhedrin. We'll see. The Gemara will say a proof of this. Says the Gemara, no, it's talking itaka against the prince. And because the prince is being judged, the king comes to view it. And because the king is there, that's why it's fitting that the Kohen Gadol should give testimony. Mishum Yakra, the Kohen Gadol, because of the honor of the Kohen Gadol, Asav Yosef, the king can come and sit there when he's being judged, a judgment against the prince. Mikable Nihale L'Sadusai, they accept the testimony of the Kohen Gadol, and Koyhu V'Azl, then the king leaves, and then we look into the matter. Now, how do we know that a king is never appointed on the Sanhedrin? Gufa Eimay Shivan Melech b'Sanhedrin, V'loy Melech v'Kohen Gadol b'Ibur Shana. Nor does the king or the Kohen Gadol participate in the intercalating of the new year. Melech b'Sanhedrin, the king can't be on the Sanhedrin because it says Loisana al Riv. Now, we dash in this Loisana al Rav. You can't argue with a great person. So if the king would be on the Sanhedrin, nobody would be able to argue with him. So therefore the king can't sit on the Sanhedrin. And Loi Melech the Kohen Gadol b'Ibur Shana, the king and the Kohen Gadol cannot participate in the deliberation of the leap year. Melech b'Shum Aspanya, because the king has a vested interest that he wants an extra month, because then he gets he pays his army and his huge staff by the year. And therefore he wants an extra month because then he gets an extra free month. And Kohen Gadol Mishum Tzina. And the Kohen Gadol, he doesn't want to add a leap year, because if he adds a leap year, and it's going to push Sukkot the next year into the colder season, Yom Kippur the next year into the colder season, and he's going to have to go into the mikveh 5 times in cold. So he has a vested interest also, Kohen Gadol Mishum Tzina. So now, Amar Papa Shmami Na Shaita Basa Yarcha Ozel. We see that when saying what the year is going to be like, it's what was the year before we extended it. So when we extend and make an extra order, Tishrei is going to move in what would have been Mar Cheshvan, and Mar Cheshvan is already cold. So we go according to what would have been. So the Gemara says, Ini. Now the Gemara says, V'anach gimel roe baker. There were 3 shepherds. 3 shepherds, not scholars, not Talmidei Chachamim. 3 shepherds. V'hanach gimel roe baker dahave kaimei. V'shaminu rabbanon de ka'amrei, and the rabbanon heard them saying, Chad Omar im kabir v'lakish kechada yenetz. If the kabir, it's not kabir, you see, Chad Omar im bakir. If the early crop, that's the wheat crop, the lakish, and the late crop, the barley crop, kechada yenetz, are blossoming at the same time, deinu adar. Then this month is adar. The Imlav, if not, less than Adar. This is not Adar. This is really still Shvat. The Chadam im toim b'tzvar b'tlag yumas. Im tor b'tzvar b'tlag yumas. If in the morning it's so cold that an ox could die in the snow, ubetiara, but in the afternoon, betul te'ena yidmoich, the ox goes in the shadow of the fig tree to be protected from the heat. Yishlach mashche, and scratches its hide. Deinu Adar. That's the climate of Adar. Cold in the morning, hot in the afternoon. V'imlav, if not less than Adar. V'chad Amar im kidum takuf l'chadoyehei. If the eastern wind is strong, but yipach beluak nafik lekivle, the hot air that comes out of your jaw could retard the eastern wind, then deinu adar. V'imlav, if not, less dein adar. And the rabbis, upon hearing what they said, and it sounds like that the weather is still not other weather, and it's still Shvat weather. They went ahead, v'ibru rabbanon lahishata. They went ahead and added an extra other. So you see that they were saying that we'll add an extra other. So they wanted to make the climate like the New Year, and not like it was. So the Gemara says, you think they relied on shepherds? V'tiz b'rabbanan aravasa samach. You think they relied on the words of shepherds? El rabbanan achush b'nayu samach. They made their calculations. Like we said, that when either the autumn equinox is going to be, or the spring equinox is going to be, in order to have Chalamoid in the new Tkufa of autumn, or Pesach in the Chodesh Aviv. V'rayei Bakar istayuyid istayom milsayu. And just the shepherds seemed to be match what they were computing. We're going to stop now here. And remember, the whole week is Shir is 8 o'clock. Also want to remind you that we do not yet have a sponsor for Vayechi Chazak. Somebody out there in the wild blue yonder of Kalashin, of Torah Anytime, of YouTube, wants to sponsor a share, 718-916-3100, rmmwsi@aol.com. We're going to do now the Mishnah Yomis.